Hi, today in Line by Line with Manuel, we are analyzing a song by Ed Sheeran called Bad Habits.
Well, I liked it because there was an element of self-discovery in there, and the clip was also really interesting. So there's this interesting tension, and the song is just really nice to listen to.
The video is actually really nice to that song. I mean, he has a transformation every night where he just seeks adventure, I guess. Yeah, and that's why I chose.
Yeah, and the vampire element that they put in there.
Yeah,
it's his
like,
dark side.
I think it's hunger. Like each time there is a vampire is associated with constant hunger. There's not enough of blood, and there's not enough of anything. Okay.
And parasites as well. Every time you come around, you know I can't say no. Every time the sun goes down, I let you take control. I can feel the paradise before my world implodes, and tonight had something wonderful.
My habits lead to late nights, ending alone, conversations with a stranger I barely know, swearing this will be the last, but it probably won't. I got nothing left to lose or use or do. My bad habits lead to wide eyes, staring into space, and I know I lose control of the things that I say. Yeah, I was looking for a way out, now I can't escape. Nothing happens after 2. It's true, it's true. My bad habits lead to you.
Every pure intention ends when the good times start, falling over everything to reach the first time spark. It started under neon lights, and then it all got dark. I only know how to go too far, and took the long way around and burned till the fun ran out.
Wow. Yeah, the first line. Every time you come around, you know I can't say no. Every time the sun goes down, I let you take control. I guess that's the time where he turns into a vampire. And so the way I interpreted this video is each time the sun goes down, he gets this hunger for connection, and then he goes for hunt. And just because he doesn't want to associate with that, whatever he does when the sun goes down, he's like imagining that it's somebody else taking over, because he's like, I disagree with that.
Yeah, so he's first talking to not him, you. And we've talked about it a bit before, and we decided that the you is a part of him. So he's like, okay, there's something inside of me that's bubbling up, and then he's letting go of responsibility. I can't say no.
Yeah.
And then he also talks about, I let you take control, right? So at the first point, he's like, oh, I'm not taking responsibility, and in the second bit, he says,
you take
I am letting you go. Go ahead.
I can feel the paradise before my world implodes, and tonight had something wonderful. So I think he allows it to take control for the desire of this paradise. And he's looking forward to this night, but he can't have fun unless he gives over to whatever he becomes at night. That's what I think.
Yeah, so the sun goes down. The sun is symbolic for the light, the goodness. So the going down of the sun is also symbolizing the taking over of darkness, and then he's participating in the darkness. And well, what's the paradise referring to there, right? Like, is the paradise referring to the feeling that he gets when he lets the control go, right? Like, gives over control, or do you think the paradise is referring to the thing that he will leave behind when he steps into the night? What do you think, Nodrik?
I think paradise for him is just fun that he imagines. Like his own world implodes when this other being takes control, but he will get the benefits of it in a way.
So
yeah,
he's done. So the implosion is his internal world, and then he instead reaches out into the material world, like through his passion.
His own real world gets inside small hides, and he's externalizing whatever in form of that being to the outside. Like he hides his inner world. Like when I see my inner world, my world implodes, that he hides his world inside, like his world shrinks inside him.
Yeah, and I also get the sense that he's sheltering it, right? Like he's protecting his inner world to not get corrupted, right? So he's taking these two parts of himself and keeping them separate.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that last line, I don't get it, right? Like, tonight had something wonderful. That's a reflection on what happened already.
Tonight had something wonderful. Yeah, he reflects on tonight. He likes whatever happened there. That's it. But he takes he pushes responsibility for whatever happened tonight on that other being.
And I think the wonderful aspect is connected to the paradise. So because paradises are wonderful.
Okay.
My bad habits lead to late nights ending alone. Conversation with a stranger I barely know. So
I think because he likes to go out so much, he cannot maintain a stable relationship. That's what, so this going out at nights or whatever he does at night is a bad habit. He calls it a bad habit. And yeah, conversations with a stranger I barely know. I don't see nothing wrong with that, right?
Well, yeah, I actually saw something new in there, right? Because I think the bad habits are referring to the you that comes around, right? The bad habits are his alter ego, his night ego, and he's in the video, he's rampaging, right? Like he's just going through the city and like messing up a whole bunch of things. So I do think that there's an element of that he can't connect to people, right? Like he's just like acting out, and that's why he's ending up alone. And then conversations with a stranger I barely know, I now think that he's talking to himself. Like, why did I do this? How did I end up here? I don't understand who I am. I think that's what he has when he's finally alone walking the streets and nobody cares about him.
Also, that being that is rampaging through the city doesn't look like him. So it's like this external shiny form of him. Yeah, kind of very superficial. Swearing this will be the last, but it probably won't. I got nothing left to lose or use to do. Yeah, I think it's connected. Night's ending alone and I got nothing left to lose. And it will happen again. That's what he is. Go in circles, let's say, in here. Yeah, I like it. He's self-affirming, like he's like detached himself from the thing, and he said it will happen again, and like that is what my bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's sad?
Oh yeah, he's definitely not happy, and that is for sure. Swearing, well, yeah. If you're like, oh, this is gonna be the last time, right? You're upset, right? Like you're ashamed that you did it, right? And you want to get rid of that behavior. And then it probably won't. So this is referring to the letting, taking control, and I can't say no, right? It's like, oh yeah, I know myself. Like I don't have the internal fortitude to have the resistance. And then I got nothing left to lose, or use or do.
Yeah.
He's well, one of the things is he already gave over, right? Like he feels like he's already in the hole, right? So it's no use denying, right? Like it's no use pretending that he's a good person, right? Like, or that he could be a good person. And so he doesn't want to take responsibility, but I also think there's a sense of that he doesn't know how to take responsibility, how to get himself out, like how not to be that person.
I don't see he wants it. I actually don't see it here. Like I see he's just like commenting on whatever behavior, and he's able to do it just because he detached from it. And he explained it because he wants something wonderful. He feels that paradise. He has this desire for that paradise, but ends up having conversation with a stranger, basically. Like,
yes,
yeah, he's looking for something.
I do think you're right. Where nothing left to lose, right? Like he's making an excuse, right? And so he doesn't want to resist. You're correct.
Yeah. My bad habits lead to wide eyes, staring into space. And I know I lose control of the things that I say. So he is again commenting on a thing. Like he's just like, that's who I am. Or not I am, but whatever being to control. Yeah, that's what I see here.
So the way that I feel it right now is the wide eyes is maybe him observing himself, right? So he's like seeing himself do all these things, and he's just like enthralled by what's happening.
Oh, I think he looks outside. He avoids looking at himself at all cost. My bad habits lead to wide eyes staring into space, and I know I'll lose control of the things that I say. Yeah, so he is not looking at himself, he is looking outwards into space. This means there is no self-reflection, and he will lose control of the things that he says. It's like zero self-reflection will lead to unintended consequences. But then he's like, he's good. It's not him. It's somebody else who took over. What do you think?
Well, yeah, like I've had experiences where, for example, when I'm really drunk or something, like I'm seeing myself do things, right? It's like
Oh, from the
maybe
outside?
when you
From the outside, like you stepped out of your body and seen you doing things drunk?
uh yeah, so well, I've had experience from the outside of my body as well. There was one time when I fell on the back of my hand. I saw myself laying down and I was like,
but like under influence of alcohol or something?
no, that wasn't under influence of
Okay.
alcohol. And even in meditation, you can get to this place where you're observing things inside of you happening, independent of from the place where you're looking, right? So there's this element where you go into observer mode and you just act things out, right? You, like in some sense you don't have control, and I'm not sure why he's talking about the things he says. Maybe it will become clear later.
Also, wide eyes could mean that he's on drugs. Like at the beginning of the video, he injects something in his mouth. Like at the very beginning, he has a syringe. And right before he turns into a vampire, he injects the syringe into his mouth somehow. I don't know what kind of, and then his eyes become blue, and I think it's kind of fueled by drugs, this change that he does, but he still will do it again.
It's the ritual of transformation. Right? It's like, oh, I'm doing this and now I'm allowed to let go or something, right? It's like
I imagine it's placebo drug. He's like just like a syringe with sugar water. And then he's like, oh, that thing will allow me not to have control of the things that, or not to have responsibility of the things that I do. Bam, zero responsibility. And then he's like doing everything. That was the drug. And it's like,
Nodrik, I think that's a great business plan. We should get syringes with water. If you put this in your mouth, you don't have responsibility.
No, that's no, I'm not doing that shit. That's a terrible idea. Terrible idea. Do not deal drugs or even placebo drugs. Horrible idea. Okay. Yeah, I was looking for a way out. Now I can't escape. Nothing happens after 2. It's true, it's true. My bad habits lead to you. Yeah, it's drugs, I think.
Well, it's definitely possession, right? Like, so drugs you take and then they happen, right? Like they're in your system and then you have to get them out of your system, right? So I definitely think that the possession element is truly there, and yeah, drugs would be a good culprit.
He says, I was looking for a way out. Now I can't escape. So he was trying to self-medicate, maybe in a way. And now he got hooked.
Yeah, that's addiction, right? Like, so and this is a good reason, not a good reason, but the pattern that we do, right? Like we're feeling trapped, right? And then we try something, and then the thing that we do allows us to escape, right? Like it gives us a way out, but now we're in this new place, right? Like we're in the drugs, or we're in the computer games, or like there's many ways that we just can get sucked into this other thing, and then we're trapped there.
So basically, a way out should not be another trap.
Yes, that is correct. And so the way that you resolve that problem, right, is that you're looking for the positive, right? Like you're looking for the growth instead of the way out, right? Like, because if you're just going out, you're not going to a good place. You're just going to a different place.
Yeah. Every pure intention ends. when the good times start. Oh. Every pure intention ends. So, what does it bring up to you?
Well, so the pure intentions are representative of the ideal, right? Like how do I see myself as a good person? And then the good times is the passion taking over, right? Like so there's a way that we can see our ideal selves, and then when we get caught in the activity, then we get focused on the activity and we lose the big picture.
Yeah. Also, I think he's dissociating purity with good times in here. Like for him, whatever good times is not pure. That's why he has to, in order to have good times, he has to be taken over by that darker side of him, let's say.
Yeah, and that's interesting, right? Because like in the purity, right, like in the ideal, there's also good times to be had, but that requires you to become different, right? Like that requires you to
stay pure.
What?
To stay pure. In order to have good times in purity, you have to stay pure, but he doesn't want to stay pure. He likes the good darker times, let's say. Yeah, got it. There was this quote that I like by from Master and Margaret, where devil meets one of Jesus's entourage guys. So, and
His groupies?
yes, his 11 groups. So, and the group is like Levimat, where he's like talking to devil. I resent the fact that you exist, and I resent the fact of evil on this world. And the devil like looks at him and says, listen, what light would be without a shadow? Would you even know what light is if there was nothing else to compare it to? And I really like that. So, like, even here, there is, you need to experience darkness in order to appreciate purity. Somehow, I feel that's why he dissociates it. But he still remembers his darker self in a self. Still remembers his darker self.
Yeah, we all have our dark side, right? Like because we don't get born pure. We need to try and move there, and like in some way it's impossible to get there, right? Like so it's the trying that counts, not the getting there. And yeah, like the contrast, right? Like the knowing the bad parts of yourself allow you to discern the good parts. And then the question is, well, like, is there a way to not have to dive into the darkness, but get that contrast, like to get that appreciation in a healthy way, right? And I'm going to use the word humility and gratitude there, right? Like if we're actively trying to look for the things that we can be grateful for, like maybe we don't have to go into the dark place.
Falling over everything to reach the first time spark. It started under neon lights, and then it all got dark. I only know how to go too far. So it's intoxication here. It's those. It's the state where you only focus on the blinking lights, of I guess some nightclub or something.
Mm-hmm. So there's this idea of failing forward, right? In
Mm-hmm.
business, right? So if you have a failure, you don't fix it, you make something new. And the first time spark, right, is the newness, right? It's the exploration. It's like, oh, right, like it's so there's this special thing about something new, right, where you can just explore it, you can just live into it, and and that allows you not to have to deal with what's going on, right? And so he's running away from himself, trying to have new experience over and over again, not to have to reflect on the past.
I remember there was a movie about a drug released on the market that when you take it, you would feel in love for the first time, all the time, over and over and over. And here is like he's hunting for that first time spark.
Yep.
All the time. And here I think he talks about some story, but it's in between the lines. It started at the neon lights, and then it all got dark.
Yeah. So it's interesting that he says neon lights, right? So it started in the light would lead to is the purity, right? Like the light would be representative of the purity, but neon lights, they're artificial, right? Like so it's artificial purity that he started under. And maybe the artificial nature of the purity is that he's not that, right? Like he's just pretending to be that, right? Or wanting to be that. And then because he didn't become that person, he got dragged into darkness.
I actually think he brings up here a story of one time that happened to him, and then he keeps hunting for that thing. Like if we would go into context with the last line, he's unless he's talking to his dark self. I only know how to go too far, but we took the long way round and burned till the fun ran out. Okay, he might be talking about himself though as well. Him and his kind of dark night shadow figure. He went too far and burned till the fun ran out. Yeah, it brings in the artist, like everything that artists do, that they just like explore. There's like that massive openness that they have towards new experience, and they always dive in full head. And he's like telling the story of that, but I was like, yeah, we've all been there, like day like every other day. It makes him extremely relatable. Like I know that feeling.
Yeah, so this idea of going too far, right? Like that's connected to inhibition, like the ability to resist. And we were talking about the drug, right? Like and how the drug can take you over. But there's a different element, right? Where when you're jumping out, right, like into the world, like you're he said the world implodes, right? So there was this element where what does it mean that it implodes, right? Like it gets sucked in, right, to a small ball, and then that ball doesn't have the strength anymore, right? Like it doesn't have the power to resist what's taking him over. So how do you feel about that with your artist perspective?
Again, exploratory element. He like you always keep hunting for those strong emotions, for new experiences, but I think the first time spark is what he's looking for, the paradise of the first time spark, versus it is the strongest feeling in there, where you get like kind of this aha moment. It's a discovery thing, like you learned something amazing.
So and then
but burn till the fun ran out.
Yeah. So they took the long way round, right? Which means that, okay, like he didn't get the self-control through asserting it. He got the self-control as a consequence of running to the end, right? Like burned until fun ran out, which is effectively rock bottom, right? Like there's no more fuel, right? Like now it's empty. and when there's emptiness, right, you need to change, right? Like you need to fill it up and fill it up with something that's more lasting than whatever you burned before, right? Like you need to find a way to
but
be
bad
sustainable.
habits, you know, bad habits
Bad
keep,
habits.
like he calls it a bad habits as opposed to understanding that it's his exploratory nature. All of it is him. He dissociates from his desire for new and for discovery as a bad habit, in a sense. So
Yes.
I'm still like I can't get over how awesome that video is, because like there's this falling over everything and he's like flying and all those people fall out of the path, like he's tripping all over, like over those people. Then he meets through himself, but himself implodes. Like so much symbolism there. Like I encourage you guys to check out the video.
Yeah, you guys should check out the video because it's really good. Yeah, I just completely lost what I was going to say. That's great.
That's great. This means it was not important. So what did you learn from that song, Manuel?
Oh, yeah. Now I know what I was going to say again. It's the dissociation that you were talking about, right? It's that does not allow you to take responsibility. It does not allow you to build the right relationship, right? So if you see it as, oh, I want to explore, right? Like there's this impulse in me, and you nourish it, right? Like you're saying, okay, I'm now going to do this to satisfy this impulse. Then you can use that in a healthy way, right? But if you just say, well, now I'm just going to turn off the light and give it over, right, and just go with the impulse, then it's not healthy, right? So that's kind of the lesson that I see in it, right? It's like, okay, you're doing something bad. What's dragging you in, right? Like what are you trying to
I
get out of
absolutely
it?
did not get this message from here. I saw the explanation, like the only bad thing is dissociation. Like if you do something, take responsibility for it, enjoy it in double. Basically, like
Double.
yeah, it's just like, oh, that's me plus my dark side, hand in hand. Let's see what the exploration feels with both of us in charge, let's say, right? Like go one step beyond, and then you can stop, you can learn something from it. I would not cast judgment so quickly as what you're doing is bad or not. See it as gaining experience in things. Because if you will be like judging it too much, you will get trapped, and then you will have the desire to escape it, not to accept it, reject it, and it's like, yeah, that thing is a fuel for next song or something.
So I think it's interesting what you said, right? Because if you're walking hand in hand, the bad habits aren't leading, right? Like you're leading, and you're having a relationship, and I think that's all the difference, right? Like the fact that you're leading.
Yeah, like you have to understand, instead of dissociating yourself from your shadow, you have to embrace it. And perhaps this way can true healing begin. Also, sometimes you do need, again, the bad experiences, you do need to live through them in order to kind of appreciate the good, pure intention, let's say. Like when you have enough of good times, you can like, okay, all the good times I could have had, I already had. Let me try and learn something even newer and find good times in pure intentions, let's say. And that being out of place of strength, not escape, but you absolutely embraced and accepted yourself. There is no shame in it. There is no judgment, good or bad. It's a learning experience that you went through. So it takes a lot of guilt.
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
I do believe it's sometimes better to have experiences than not.
Well, yes, you need to have experience, because if you don't experience things, then you'll end up more
Talking out of
dissociated,
ass.
like me.
Mm.
You just retreat, and when you retreat, then you're even, yeah, like now you can't move anymore. So that's bad. And I also think, and you mentioned this before, right? When you're dealing with guilt, there's this extra layer that you have to struggle with, and things happened, so it's better just to accept them than getting sucked into the guilt.
Well, also the video finished that he shed his like when the sun came up, he shed his darker self and became good self, which is, it's like let me just kill off the black self. It's beautifully done, but I would like it not to be burned away somehow. I would like to be put inside the guitar, for example. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, you wanna hold on to the darkness, but
Of course.
they're in conflicts.
No, you have to get in harmony with the darkness, because if you will keep
if you're in harmony with the darkness, it's good.
You might, in order to deny the darkness, you might lose the benefits of it, the more, let's say, hunter part of it. Yeah, so that's what I learned from that song. Okay. Thank you, Manuel, for your valuable input. Guys, please check out Manuel's awesome podcast. The links I will provide below. Gratitudes to our sponsor.
Free time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Like, my bad habits lead to wide-eyed staring into space, wherever to stare accepted himself.